Heroquest. According to some people, it's the best game ever made. I picked up a few boxes to discover the wondrous magical world of Heroquest. And is it the best game in the world?
Hello? Hello? I don't even know who Squidmar is.
Hey everyone, you're watching Squidmar Miniatures. I'm Emil. Heroquest. Millions of people have played it throughout the years. And for many of you watching, maybe it was even the first game that got you into miniature games, or maybe even the first time you ever played something that had to do with Warhammer. This game was released back in 1989, and I for one wasn't as lucky to have a father who let me play the game with him when I was 7 or had any bigger friends who had the game. But I want to give my kids that experience, being 7 and 9 years old, getting to play the wondrous role-playing adventure game of Heroquest with their dad. And quite frankly, I think this is a better way in than playing a 2000 points game of Warhammer, especially when your kids don't speak English. And surprise, surprise, Heroquest is available in Swedish. Or was. As many people in lockdown are bringing out their old games, I decided to see if I could find an old copy of the 1989 game Heroquest. And as mentioned, luckily the game was released in Swedish, and that's perfect for someone who has kids who can read but don't speak English quite yet. With a little bit of luck, maybe I'm able to convince my kids to play a few games with me. After searching the internet, I found 2 strapping young lads who had the game and were willing to part ways with it, selling it to me. After a bit of sorting, these 2 boxes combined would give me a complete set of Heroquest. And isn't this wonderful? Even if the Swedish version is lacking the original cool artwork with the barbarian in the center, it still has this sort of retro early 90s, late 80s look to it. I really miss the 4 classical heroes on the cover, the barbarian, the dwarf, the elf, and the wizard. But this artwork, I'll give it a pass, because it's still an amazing late 80s package design. I wondered why they did a special one for the Swedish version. What was the thought process behind this? Maybe someone at MB Games knows. And if I would have had the game as a kid, I would have definitely played as the elf. I mean, there was a reason why I loved Legolas most out of all of the characters in Lord of the Rings, and that I decided to play with Wood Elves as a kid. And in the pack, I was lucky to find almost all miniatures from both kits available. There's a few missing monsters, some bits from some of the orcs are missing, but it almost gave me 2 complete sets. 2 of the biggest things that I'm missing is one of the barbarians and one of the elves and one of the gargoyles. Those 3 are probably quite hard to find, but maybe I can solve that in some way to give me 2 complete sets. But in reality, I guess that doesn't matter. What's important is that these 2 boxes together give me enough models to play the game with my kids, and that's what I've been excited about. Going through all of these models gave me so many fond memories of playing Warhammer as a kid with these models that doesn't have quite as detailed a sculpt as the models today have. But to me, that's kind of part of the charm of bringing up this old game. The one elf that I had, well, he was kind of missing half an ear. It looked like maybe some dog had chew on him, or maybe he was squeezed under a chair or something so that half of the ear was missing. Exactly what happened? Well, I will probably never find out, but I decided that it was probably better to cut off the ear using an X-Acto knife, making it look as though the elf almost hid his ear behind the hair, and yeah, I think it sells quite okay. The gargoyle, however, he looks kind of tipsy or something, like he's been drinking a little bit too much. For one, well, both wings of the single gargoyle still left in the box were broken, so I had to glue them together. And when I glued them together, I kind of realized that the original glue job was kind of crappy. The wings were glued on tilting to the left, and while it looks okay, I kind of want the gargoyle to look good because it's sort of the end monster, the biggest monster to face in the game. So with a little bit of cutting work and gluing, I got it back together and it looks quite good right now. I think the cutting on the wings almost made it fit better than it does originally. On top of getting enough miniatures to build one set, I had a lot of furnitures, enough to build more than one gaming table of this. There are some furniture missing to build 2 complete sets, but again, that really doesn't matter for this specific purpose. One of the sets are of extreme great quality still. There's just a few dents in the cards, and I would say that it's next to nothing. And I mean, this is one of the purposes that I picked up 2 sets, was to be able to build one fresh one. And I feel like I'm really able to do that with all of the assets that I've got together with these 2 packs. And as for the cards design, how can one not love the black and white images or the wonderful card backs? These are some of the loveliest retro designs I've ever seen. The text on the cards, well, I know that most of you can't read Swedish, but trust me, these texts are wonderfully simple. It has this naivety that games today just don't have. Just look at the name of the gargoyle, for example, Skräckmask. This translation pretty much directly translates to a terrifying mask.
I've got no idea how to translate any of this. It's clearly some obscure and ancient elven tongue, or it's demonic. Ugh. But whatever the case, it's certainly the language of a being with no idea how to paint Heroquest miniatures the correct way, with loads of enamel paint and gloss varnish. Why, look at this cracking warrior, eh? Uncontested in the realm of pigmentation. And so are all of his men.
But even if you pick up the game in English, the language is really simplistic, and I really enjoy that. I love that. This again brings back so many memories to simpler times where things weren't overly ambitious, or you had to play a game 50 times to be able to understand the rules or the texts on the cards. Warhammer Underworlds, I'm looking at you. Look guys, to play the game, we need to paint some miniatures. There are quite a lot of miniature though. I counted the combined miniatures and I got it to 54 original miniatures. And on top of that, I 3D printed about 10 miniatures that my kids and their friends could select from and paint up themselves if they wanted to. But 54 miniatures, that's quite a lot to paint for one video in 1 week and edit and make it look good. But sometime in the future, my dream, my wish is to paint all of these 54 miniatures to give a complete experience for my kids and their friends when playing that really brings them into this world and have their imagination run wild. But for now, I think starting with the heroes is the right way to go. Yet, for some reason, I decided to paint a test model, a skeleton, just to get a feel for the sculpts and how the casting is, the plastic works, and how it is to paint these small miniatures. The skeleton has a little bit of a cartoony feel to it, the face is a little bit weird and funky in the shapes, but that's also, again, kind of what makes this game what it is. The style is unique, and I really just love the feeling about everything in this game. I'm a super lucky guy to be father of 3 wonderful girls. And being a father of these 3 girls have given me the experience of knowing what my kids want. And for hero characters, all males, I know that my kids are going to want some female alternatives to select from. Having something that they can relate to, something that looks similar to them, something that they can feel empowered by is super important for them. Luckily, there are some incredible sculptors that have made alternative sculpts to the characters in the original 80s style, but simply with a gender swap. And to me, this is a wonderful thing that the community have gone together and just designed awesome miniatures and 3D scanned some of the figures from the original expansion sets. Expansion sets that cost about $1,000 on eBay, and I just can't justify getting a female elf for $1,000 for a game that my kids haven't played yet. On Thingiverse, I found a 3D scan of this one. It's not the best quality. When printed, it looks okay. It's quite low detail, but I guess it's good enough. She was a little bit disappointed that it wasn't as detailed as the sorceress that my second child decided to pick. This one's sculpted by Game Decor, or Monstrous Encounters as the set is called. And I just can't stop loving these miniatures. Because as a kid who didn't love wonderful TV series such as X-Men the animated series, you had Spider-Man the animated series, Biker Mice from Mars, Turtles, He-Man, or Pirates of the Dark Waters. I mean, all of these series had the same sort of aesthetics, the same haircuts on the heroes, the same clothes on the barbarians. And I really wanted to give this 80s style sculpt a modern touch, so painting them in my current painting style, not using the one that they painted with back in the 80s. I just wanted to do something that I would enjoy doing, because this video, this whole set of the game, this is just a video that I've been dreaming of making for a long time. It's a video that I've been enjoying planning and researching for. So it was important for me to just go all the way doing all the stuff in the way that I wanted to make it. Once done with my test skeleton, I decided to jump onto the barbarian, a fantastic, vigorous, strong man in his best years. So what that his shoulders are wider than a semi-truck and his haircut is just as fabulous as Cher's was in the 90s. He's ready for a fight and it shows. Painting a miniature like this that originally doesn't have as much detail and trying to bring out these type of details using paint is weirdly cathartic. The second miniature that I decided to jump in on was the elf, the one that I would have selected as a kid. Instead of painting the elf like on the artworks, I wanted to do something that reminded me of the wood elves that I painted as a kid. So as a color scheme, I decided to go with greens and browns, really natural colors. And just like with the skeleton and the barbarian, I wanted to give his sword this green glow, kind of reflecting the light of a magical dungeon. And I really enjoy the fact that these miniatures are really simplistic and minimalistic in the design. It gives the opportunity to focus more on the important things of the miniature, not having to spend hours on tiny details that no one will see. Instead, I can focus on the main features and paint those features well and still do it fairly quickly. We have the man with the tiny feet, the sorcerer. Standing in an X pose just made to be 100 times easier to cast for the game developers. This sorcerer just delivers on that X pose and does it confidently. I wanted to make this one a tad more colorful. There's this painter called Emil who have been painting up Heroquest miniatures and done it just fantastically well. And I know that this is the artwork on the character card as well, but I was more inspired by the paint job, so I kind of wanted to plug this guy. It's amazingly painted in yellow, blue, and red, and I just needed to pick this for my own paint job. So I stole this paint job pretty much straight off, maybe just not as well painted, but who cares? So guys, the heroes are done. I'm feeling super inspired right now to start painting the bases. About 49 more characters to paint, plus the 10 3D printed ones. I've been ridiculously excited the last few weeks, reading up on the rules, thinking out color schemes, 3D printing different assets for the games to make my gaming table more simple, clean, organized. And I've been starting to look at the different expansions as I mentioned as well, but these are a little bit too expensive for now, so I'm probably going to 3D print some of the assets. With a very active online community, Heroquest is constantly growing, getting more quests, getting newly sculpted figures and models and proxies for the different old figures and expansion sets. But who knows, maybe in the future sometime on eBay or whatever, I'll find the expansions in their original form, but for now this will do. And guys, with that, I hope you had a great time hanging out with me, discovering Heroquest, the amazing figures, painting a few. If you did, please consider subscribing. I release hobby videos every week. Leave a like or maybe a comment if you have something you want to add to the discussion. And a massive thanks to John from the Bardic broadcast who did this amazing cameo. If you don't know who he is, he made the best gaming video on the internet. It's hilarious. I put the link to that in the video description, so go check him out as well. If you want to support this channel, there's a couple of ways you can do that. By joining me on Patreon, pledging a few dollars to make sure that I can run this channel, or following any of the Amazon links that I have in my video description about the tools or gear that I use in every video. So with that said, friends, have a great day. Bye! And to my top patrons, Daniel, Marc-Andre, Richard, Jonas, Christopher, Brandon, Guy, and Brett, you guys are the best. I'm so thankful for you guys. Thanks so much.